We think sometimes that mind and matter are separate things. In the causal interpretation of the quantum theory from David Bohm's 1990 paper on mind and matter in the causal interpretation of the quantum theory, he posits that mind and matter are two sides of the same coin. They're inseparable. When you're talking about meditation, what it is that you're tapping into when it comes to these sounds, specifically the sounds I'm talking about are Hebrew and Sanskrit. Those are the two languages that are extremely powerful for meditation over and above many others. There's weird magical languages like Enochian is one, and but that language may not be necessarily the logoic language. It probably has a slightly different use. When we're talking about Hebrew and Sanskrit, we're talking about the languages that make up the light that is matter. What am I trying to say? That at that first burst coming out of a black hole, galactic jets. This galactic jet busts out matter in the form of hydrogen. This is matter, the fundamental matter that makes up our universe, comes from black holes. A lot of in this way. In looking at the very, very early pictures of the universe with the James Webb Telescope, we're finding that it's very much in alignment with this extraterrestrial channelings called the Law of One. The Law of One is channeled work from like 1981 through 83. It's weird stuff. It goes into ceremonial magic. It goes into flying saucers, past lives, other planets, tarot cards. Those are some of the people who have come from elsewhere who incarnate as human beings in order to teach humanity and help out. And it goes into Nikola Tesla. It goes into different forms of like free energy apparently was discovered by Nikola Tesla and has been suppressed. That's one of the things that is gone over in that book that I think is kind of funny. And it talks about how Tesla's main like reason for incarnating, you could say, was one thing and one thing only. It was let there be light. Literally, let there be light. So what he wanted for his incarnation is he wanted there to be like free energy, basically free electricity, and that you would not need to pay for that, and therefore you'd have your plenty of free time, and in that free time you would seek the center of yourself and become closer to God in that way. So that was an example from him. Everybody has that reason that they incarnated specifically. And there's an idea of your holy guardian angel. Going back a little bit, that first burst of creation, that first matter, the secret esoteric truth, if there is one truth that underlies all other truths about your nature of when it comes to you and the cosmos, when it comes to mind and matter, when it comes to anything, is that first light that pierced creation, that's you. You are, when it's talking about in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and everything was made through the Word. This word means logos. The logos, you are a miniature logos. That's what's taught in the Law of One teachings. And that, like, esoterically, you are Christ in that way. Christ is the logos. They keep saying over and over, the extraterrestrials. They say that Christ was a real person, which is kind of mind-blowing in itself. Their view is that the matter of this universe came out of black holes, and that the Hebrew and the Sanskrit words, languages, sounds are those sounds are light. And that light allows you to tap into your true nature as a miniature of the greater macrocosm. There's not logos, logoi. You are the one infinite creator. There is only one thing in the universe, one substance. And you are that substance. That substance is consciousness. That substance is light. That substance is, there's no separation between mind and matter. There's a really good analogy given in the Vedic literature, which is this word chitta. Chitta is often translated as mind. I'm holding up Manasa Devi because she's also known as Nagakanya of the Tibetan Buddhism. Interestingly enough, she has a sound associated with her, and that sound is ing. I am ng. That is the nada and bindu coming together and creating this third called Mishra Bindu. And this is, so if you want to tap into the chitta, you just use that sound, I am, but with the nasal termination. The tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. The chitta, in yoga, it said, chitta vritti nirodha. Patanjali says, I will now expound upon what yoga is. Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta is often translated as mind, but chitta is also the same word. Chitta is also nous, N-O-U-S, in the Platonic tradition and Hermetic tradition. It helps understand that you're trying to, it's often said, purify the mind. That's, well, what is the mind? The mind is a type of matter in its own way, right? The mind is coming about interpreting. There's a bunch of articles recently talking about how the brain has like these microtubules in the brain that are interfacing with the quantum kind of reality. So there might be a quantum correlate with consciousness. There might be that the signal that is being picked up by the brain is a signal, but the brain is not the thing. There's scientific studies where they show the human brain and they show, okay, consciousness is gone. When you turn the brain off, consciousness goes away. Okay, that's also, I could make the same argument that if I take a radio and I smash a radio and I'm like, okay, there's no more signal. The only thing I've proven is that I've smashed the radio. But the signal is always there. The signal is you. The signal is the one infinite creator. The signal is the logos. The signal is your true self. How do you tap into that signal? The source of all white magic is tapping into that signal. That, and keeping yourself in that bliss that is your true nature, that is one with everything. And that is a white magical operation. And when you've done that through these Hebrew and these Sanskrit sounds, which are configurations of light that built the whole universe, that link you up to this original first light that pierced creation, like when light comes out of a black hole, essentially light, as hydrogen, that matter and light are one and the same. And you are that light, being the Logos. And there's a name, right, in Hebrew, the esoteric teachings of Golden Dawn and stuff. They have Yod He Shin Vav He. So that comes out to Yeshua, which is the name of Christ, which is the name of the Logos. So secretly, that's your true name. That's a in an esoteric sense, when it comes to unifying with your true self, that's esoteric. The idea of esoteric Christianity is that it's not just Christ is over here, but it's unifying with the Christ and dying to yourself and becoming one with that Logos. And apparently, that's the teaching from the law of one contact. That is what white magic is. White magic is there's this signal, the one thing, which is consciousness, that exists throughout the universe, and that is the universe, and that is the only thing that exists. In all, mind and matter are not two separate things. Mind and matter are light. And it's coming about through these black holes. We see them in the very early cosmos, that these supermassive black holes are helping form galaxies by busting out massive amounts of light. It's much like in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. These black holes are helping form galaxies through this light, and this light is esoterically the Hebrew and the Sanskrit letters. And by using these Hebrew and Sanskrit letters, you're tapping in to the most subtle level of reality, into the particles and subatomic particles. Right before reality forms. Like right behind that, in that apophatic silence between notes, that is the most powerful thing, and that is your true self. And at that state of consciousness, things will start to happen for you. You might get a lot of crazy synchronicities. People will come into your life that will be the exact person you need to be talking to at this exact moment. Everything will be working out like it was predestined almost. Like things, that's part of what I get with these synchronicities, is the more you tap into this Logos, the more you tap into meditation, that these synchronicities start to happen, and that it can be like very jarring at first, because it'll be like, here's $30 million, here's this, here's that. It'll be like so many things at the same time, and it's a lot to take in. And sometimes you just want to like be like, okay, you know, all these possibilities exist in the universe. If I were to say to you, what would you rather have? Would you rather have $30 million right now? I snap my fingers, you have $30 million, but you're not enlightened. Or would you rather be enlightened? What would you pick? I would pick $30 million. But the truth is that if you pick being enlightened, you get everything else comes from that. Which is to say that in a white magical operation, you're feeling the unity that you have with the cosmos. Not you as in like you, your ego self. Like me, I'm Jacob Hoy, right? That's what they call me on my little IDs and stuff like that. The tax people come to me and they say, you owe this and this much. And I say, go to hell. But uh, then that's my name and form. But beyond my name and form is this, just the signal itself, is the one infinite creator, is your true self. There's this idea of the 5 stages of sound, that there's the nada, which is like the unstruck sound, and then there's the para, pashanti, madhyama, and vaikari. And this vaikari comes up onto the tongue and comes out as sound. So if you get to the most subtle level of sound, you also get into the most subtle level of matter, because matter in some ways is like a sound wave in the ether. That's a little bit from a bastardization of a Nikola Tesla quote, I think from 1937, when he was speaking with the New York Times. But it is very true when talking about meditation, when talking about these Hebrew sounds and these Sanskrit sounds. When you're using the Hebrew sounds, you're tapping into the logos as like Christ. Whatever that means to you. To me, Christ was a person who actually existed, who embodied the logos, the one infinite creator, who actually did die, resurrect, and come back to life in a body like different than a flesh and blood body. And that the extraterrestrials from the planet Venus say that every 25,920 years there's this big solar event, something to this effect, that makes everything wonderful like that. That's the idea of ascension. I'm not saying that it's true or not. I'm just saying that's the whole idea of it. And that at the end of this process, you have a light body like Christ. The idea of the chitta is, the chitta or the nous is the feminine form of creation. The feminine form, in terms of like, if you were thinking mind and matter, she would be matter. But also mind. Mind and matter are one and the same. And the masculine form of creation, I would consider almost like a black hole in some ways, that it's the masculine form of creation somewhat is the unmanifest creation in some ways. And that the manifest matter is in the case of Hebrew, 22 sounds. In the case of Sanskrit, 49, with those 2 sounds that modify speech. So at 51. That's why they worship the goddess. They worship the goddess. I keep coming back to this. They worship the goddess because the goddess represents the nous, represents the chitta, the purified mind. But the feminine counterpart to the dual aspects of creation, mind and matter, subject, object, male, female. When it comes to female, female is matter. By saying these sounds that are associated with this feminine form of creation, it's like a analogy, or it's a way of passing down the knowledge, as saying like, oh, these sounds are like a woman. And they're saying, they're not saying that they are a woman, or they are these angels. They are these angels also. But these sounds, which are personified as angelic forces, are personified as a woman, as the feminine form of creation, as the chitta, so that you can have something that is sometimes just seeing the snake, the rope, as being a snake, we see it, the rope looks like a snake to us. But then that's like Maya. That's the form of creation, the illusion. But then we see, oh, it's actually just a rope. And then we need these superimpositions upon the one infinite creator in order to reach deeper, in order to reach the one infinite creator. So superimposition A would be the sound ah. Superimposition B would be ooh. That's another superimposition. Superimposition, which is to say, it is a superimposition as a limiting adjunct upon consciousness, upon the one infinite creator, which is that fourth state of consciousness, which is always there, quiescent, which is unconditioned awareness of awareness. Over the top of this one infinite creator, you have ah, you have ooh, you have ma. Similar in Hebrew, you have aleph, mim, and shin. And those are up above as the supernals. And then they have lower down the tree reference. But how do you mix the philosopher's stone? That's the secret, right? Here's how you mix the philosopher's stone. You offer creation into its source. In the case of the Hindu, it's the ah sound. The ah sound is offered in between oo and ma into the fire of the uncreate, and it's like a full cycle of action: create, maintain, destroy. And it is the way you get the fourth state of consciousness, which is unconditioned awareness of awareness, which is the philosopher's stone, which is you. You are the philosopher's stone. That's the secret of the philosopher's stone. I've been doing a lot of the Christian type of meditation, which is like using the Hebrew as you're invoking the one infinite creator as Christ. And that's illustrated through the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn tradition. And then I've been using a lot that as a very, very powerful, my absolute favorite is the feminine form of creation. And that, why is it that this feminine form of creation gives you the highest God, gives you the same as the masculine form, that gives you the logos? Why? The reason why the feminine form of creation gives it to you is because the chitta, or the nous, is consubstantial with the monad. It's like some next level stuff. Consubstantial meaning of one substance. When you imagine this, we're sitting on the edge of a lake, and you're looking up at the moon with me, and I'm pointing at the moon, and I say, "Isn't that a nice moon out tonight?" And you say, "Yes, it is." But you look up at the moon. Okay, as you're looking up at the moon with me. You're not looking at my finger pointing at the moon. You're looking at the moon. You see in the corner of your eye, reflected upon the lake, is the reflection of the moon in the water. And then you see the moon. I'm telling you to take a look at it. And the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. Similarly, the moon in this case, which is known as the chitta or nous, N-O-U-S, the feminine form of creation, this is why the feminine form of creation is so powerful, is consubstantial, which is to say, is that light that you see of the moon is of one substance with the sun. If you truly know the light that is reflecting off the moon, then you've seen the light of the sun also, if that makes sense, in this analogy. And then that moon reflected on the water, that is the play of Maya that we see as matter. And we think that it's so solid, but not so much. There is a deeper level of reality where everything is enfolded and interconnected, rather than only the explicate order, which is what we perceive through our senses. What does it matter? When you tap into the most subtle level of yourself, of creation, and that bliss, that kind of white magic, you are actually tapping into, just because you are saying, hey, I know the score. I know what's really happening. I know that I'm in the Matrix. I am not of the Matrix. I know you're like Neo. And you're like, hey, I'm outside of the Matrix looking in, and you're able to manipulate the code after a while and start to see these synchronicities that will happen around you. And you'll start to see that you're participating in the creation in this really cool way. And you'll get to say, hey, would I rather have $30 million or would I rather be enlightened? Well, if you're enlightened, which is to say, if you're vibrating with your true self, you get the $30 million anyway. It's worth more. It seems like it's not to me, but it's worth more to be united with your true self, which is never born and never dies. And that's worth more than any billionaire has in the bank. They would give it to you if it's like a consciousness, the one true consciousness, the one infinite creator that you are. There's not one true consciousness. There is only one consciousness. You think that it's my consciousness, and they think it's their consciousness. That's not how it is at all. There is only consciousness. That's it. There's no separation. That's first of all. And because there's no separation, and because there's no limits, and because your true nature is Satchitananda, which is to say, is perfect bliss, happiness, all that. Connecting with that is like an offering to God. And God smiles upon you and says, nice. See, this one knows. This one knows. These other guys, they're like walking around and they're just being like normal people. And that's great. And I like that and I appreciate that because I really want to have those experiences. That's what the One Infinite Creator wants. It wants all these different experiences that you guys are having. It wants to experience it. But that guy, you see, he knows or she knows the real nature of things. They know what the real score is. And because of that, just connecting with that bliss, you can create what you want to create. Like synchronicities will happen that are the things that need to happen for you to have what you need to have and do what you need to do to accomplish what you came here to do. But they're not going to come here to have you accomplish other things not the things that you came here to do, which is really hard to think of. It's going to, it being the more you connect with the one infinite creator, you're going to start connecting to your higher self. And the higher self is like an interface. It's like you from the future. And you know all those things that you need to get where it is, to get to the end of the goals, to evolve through these different levels of creation. And you've already done that and accomplished that, but you leave behind like a little version of yourself to be like in Tron and communicate with you. And that is the thing that you end up start communicating with over time, more and more and more. And as you meditate on these sounds, Hebrew and Sanskrit sounds, more and more and more you'll be able to contact the higher self, the holy guardian angel. And it will give you its name. And it will give you more and more of what you're here to do on this plane of existence. It will tell you exactly what you're supposed to do, and you need to do this, like, desperately. That nothing will get in your way in the whole world from you doing this. Believe it. When you are in connection, in concert with that, like, nobody can say anything about it. Like, you got this, and that is what you're here to do. Like, for example, me, I started to realize that I was here specifically to talk about God in terms of, like, the one infinite creator, but specifically to help people with magical formulas to create what they want in their life, basically. That's part of why I'm here. There's a specific magical formula specific for me that is not specific for maybe other people. And another person might get a lot out of a different magical formula, and you're going to find the magical formula, as it were, that you are here to do. The thing that you're here to do, your higher self will tell you exactly what to do. Everything I'm saying right now is, this is what the higher self wants me to do, and I have to do this. Like, it's got a gun to my head. Every time I don't do what it tells me, it fucks me. Absolutely, I get stomped by this thing. Like, it gives me the, like, as weird as it sounds, when I don't go with its thing and I go with my thing, it shows me what the fuck my thing means. And I don't like it. I don't like what my decisions are. But when it makes decisions and it tells me, hey, well, what I want for you is different. What God wants for you is different. But if you want something else, that's fine. You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't want good things for myself. I notice that I attract, like, I don't attempt to attract the good things that are out there in the field, as it were. But when you just stay in that one, stay in the logos, stay in your true self, that it will slowly go away, and you'll be able to evolve into the new reality, because your ego self is telling you stuff like, oh, you can't do it, you know, well, $30 million, that's way too much. There's no way, you know, I can't even conceive of that much. And then they'll probably hate you, and this and that and the other thing. And there's so many considerations that it has on why it says no to good things, and why it says, don't do that. Don't do that. No. You know? But then you can tap into that deepest level of reality and start to realize, hey, I'm deserving. I'm not a bad person. I'm deserving of the good things that life has for me. And I'm willing to receive it. Not only I'm willing to receive it, I'm willing to receive all of it. All of the good stuff that I'm putting out, I want to come back. And I want it to come back as states of consciousness, as wealth, as good health, as good things to me. And I want to be a friend to the world, and a friend to humanity, and a good person that other people would want to be around. That's kind of what it helps you tap into. When I'm saying it, I mean tapping into the logos, tapping into the most subtle level of these Hebrew and these Sanskrit sounds, which puts you in contact with your higher self and puts you in contact with your true self. I know secrets on how to help you do that, how to help you get to where I am, or exercises that could help you a lot. And that's what I do on this channel. I try to connect people with their true self as the one infinite creator through these Hebrew and these Sanskrit sounds. My want for you is for you to be able to contact your higher self, contact your guardian angel, and have it tell you what's next for you, and continue to give you techniques, and continue to give you insight, and continue to guide you. But I think recently, as of like last year in February, was the first time I ever talked to the higher self, like actually. And then recently, the thing that the higher self told me was that I want you to tell people about these techniques that you've been coming up with, and I want you to help them connect with the logos and use these magical formulas to improve their life. Specifically in dreams, it was saying it would take me to like an Egyptian situation, like Egyptian temples, things like that. Like not a desert. Egypt used to look nice. It used to be like all beautiful, like plants, flowers, stuff going on. That's what was really going on back in the day. Now it's a desert, it's wasteland or whatever. But it didn't used to look like that. And back in those temples, they would have this thing called the pyramidion. It would it would tell you like magical formulas. It would tell you about your relationship to the cosmos, to God, basically, and to life and death. Like the Freemasons, they go, "Oh, I'm traveling west to east in search of the lost word." Well, that goes all the way back, clear back to Egypt, to like the pyramidion stones, which would have west, that's death, which would be to say, but also the birth, because birth and death are like right next to each other on the stone. As you would go around the stone, you would see that life and death are offered, like creation is being offered into its source. You'd see like the magical formula of what's happening on that pyramidion stone. The first magical formula is that you should know is the 0 equals 0 formula, which is to say, in the Golden Dawn parlance, this has been the magical formula that's been passed down from the centuries since the time of Egypt, and it actually has, as crazy as that sounds. It fucking has been passed down since that time, so wild as hell. And it talks about this three currents that you as the candidate are coming in, and you're being broken down by Nephthys, and then Isis like resurrects you, and then Osiris, and there's a cycle of action, and it's harmonizing the black pillar and the white pillar. Oh no! Oh yeah, cool. Okay. That magical formula is a good preliminary, because you do need to harmonize the Ida and the Pingala, the black pillar and the white pillar. Yes, okay, that's good, because you're gonna need that later for like raising the Kundalini and all the other cool stuff that happens. Uh, it's a lot of fun. I found the Kundalini kind of exercise to be very like joyous and very like positive promoting. I don't know, health promoting, because not because of the breathing only. The breathing relaxes you, right? But the in that dhyana state, when you're meditating on like your true self, that's when the Kundalini goes up. The Kundalini goes up in response to no mind. When you have no mind, the Kundalini goes up.